I thought I should show you how you can use these coppers to put wires on and how quick they are. This is sort of like a rechargeable thing, you just charge it up with a bit more heat. So what I've done is I've already tinned the crocodile clip, like that, look. And it's so much easier than like the Paul Weller soldering iron. The next thing, I'm going to put some tin in this wire, and because you can get heat into the wire very quickly, there's less chance of melting the actual insulation, if you see what I mean. A lot of the times people sort of use a torch like this to do heavy soldering, especially like on battery cables, and they end up melting all the insulation, then you have to wrap it up with tape, which looks a bit ugly. So again, I'm just going to charge this back up again. And then we'll come back to doing this soldering, and then we're going to put this onto there. We can hold it down with the iron, get some solder into the joint, hold the wire, take it off, press it down, and you'll have an excellent joint. Again, clean up the joint and it'll be fine. Leave it to cool, and then we'll put the boot on, we'll show you what we've done. So I simply slip the boots over the end of the unit here, the piece here, and look at that, we've got a handy dandy temporary fuse holder. That's going to save you an awful lot of hassle. Believe me, just put it in your toolbox, in your tool chest or somewhere like that when you're testing wires. Because I don't know about you, but whenever I break cars up or go around scrapyards, I get pocketfuls of these. You don't have to buy them, and they come from all sorts of 3 amp all the way up to what, 30, 40, 100, you know, all sorts of amperages, but quick to replace, and they make a nice positive contact in your holder. And you don't really need one with a cap on, but it's just one I picked up off the shelf. So now we're ready to put this in line on our battery and protect the circuit. But always, if you're not sure of the amperage of a circuit and you haven't got a circuit tester, start off with like a 5 amp first, just to be sure. Don't put like a 30 of odd amp fuse in and then start testing stuff, because, well, you could damage the circuit quite badly. So just start off with a small fuse, but that is going to save your bacon many times. Right, back to making the original item I wanted to make for you. Let's get started. One of the handiest little devices we're going to make is something that goes into, you know, your regular Lucar connectors, both male and female. So you can plug this into a pump or something like this and use in your jumper lead, because sometimes if you're using a multimeter, for example, get that out here, you've got your jumper wires. Not your jumper wires, your test leads. And sometimes you can get test leads with crocodile clips on, that's really nice, but for us poor people, it's sometimes easier to do things like this and clip the connector straight to the wire, and therefore it saves a lot of messing about when you're looking on electrical connectors. Like let's look at this fuse, for example, this fuse holder, then trying to get into there and into there with this thing and just to test, and it's a bit cramped. Wouldn't it be easier to do it a better way? And of course there is. So that's what we're going to do with this lead here. We're going to sacrifice one end and keep as much cable as we can. So let's get started. We'll cut this end off, but we can always use this for another test lead, if you see what I mean. Oh, these wire cutters are getting a bit old. So we're going to start by bearing off the wire. Now I don't know if this will happen like this, but let's try it. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. This is going to be... So we're going to pull this down here like that. Like that, look. Pull it, cut it in the middle and pull it down. I've put the heat shrink on a little bit too early. So what we're going to do, we've got our bare piece of wire here. We've opened it up, pulled it apart. We're going to twist this. Yeah, I made a mistake because I put it on one side of the wire. Then we can slip this over, put it to one side, and then we're going to take off this. We could crimp it on, but I don't like crimping. We're going to make things really positive so we get a good connection. Now these are actually, if you look inside, these are the better quality crimp connectors, because you can see that when we take this apart, and we'll see if we can get it off. These are usually a bit tricky to get off. Yeah. You see inside there's this little metal shrouding that goes almost to the end, and that's the bit that crimps over your insulation, and then this bit here crimps over your wire. Interesting, eh? So what we're going to do is we're going to put that wire onto there. Just give it a little nip. Wait a minute. If it will. Like that. Actually, we don't need to put that insulation on there straight away. Grab your wires. I've got plenty of wire on there. I want a really good beefy contact on there, so that's why I've got plenty of wire. And I'm even going to fold that piece back onto it so I can get a nice good contact on there. Grab your wire. Warm up your iron, any old iron. When it's this type of stuff, I tend to blow the fumes away. And you want a really good contact into there. Wipe away any bubbles and things like that. There, look at that, that's beautiful. And the next thing we're going to do is going to leave it to cool down a bit. Slip our insulation right to the end. Well, in fact, I'm going to slip it. Oh no, it's not. I'm going to clean that off a bit. Make a nice clean cut at the end of your insulation, like we did before. There we go. Slip that over. Now I always like to set it back a little bit, so you're not. I set them back a little bit so they're easier to actually get into the connector. In some instances, on some leads, I actually leave these bare. I don't put in any insulation on them. Again, we're going to do the same for the other end. We're going to bare the wire off. Actually, we're going to, because the wire's ever so thin in this wire. Oh, look at that. Oh, I know, because I pulled it back, didn't I? There we go. This is what you get when you do things live. So I'm going to double it up because this is very light wire, and I'm sort of running out of connectors to do this job with. So I've only got one of these males here. Now look at the difference between that one. If you can remember the blue one, this has only got one piece in here, like that, and that's the difference between the quality ones and the cheaper ones. Look. See? Throw those away. So, the next thing again, just make sure you've got no stray wires. Slip it over the end, like that. Put it in your vise. Just nip it up ever so lightly. Soldering iron, get Paul Weller out. Yeah, he'll be singing away there. You're shouting to the top now, do you? There we go. That's alright. Now, don't get solder on the actual contact itself, you know, on the spade. Try to avoid that. Now I'm just going to run across, and, oh no, I've got some here. I was going to say I'll run across and get some insulation, but I think I've got some here. Oh, there's something to watch for. I've got a great big ball of insulation. I've got a great big ball of solder at the bottom. So again, get your wire, get your heater, soldering iron. Oh God, you know, I can't say anything today. I can't get it right today. Warm it up and just sort of smooth it out. There we go. Get rid of that. And then we're going to do the same again with our pliers. We're going to cut this down. Cut that. Oh dear me, that's not very square, is it? Square it off. Slip it over your connector. A little bit showing. In fact, this one wants quite a bit showing because this is the male one. Slip it over just like that. Not like that, like that. Alright, so that's on. The next thing we're going to do, so now look, you see, what we've got now, we've got two for the price of one. We can actually use this jumper lead to make two jumper leads. Again, it's like a magic trick, isn't it? You just pull them apart. They're rubbish. To get the boot off, nip it, put your fingers on, pull it off, away you go. Again, very simple piece of soldering. This is going to be even quicker because the wire's lighter. Just get, you know, clean up your contacts, surface. Now this is thin enough to do just with the regular soldering iron. Slide our boot back onto the cable. And then, oops, forgot about this. From the other side we're going to poke that through the hole. Like that. Bend it over. Grab that in there like that. Take our iron. Now we're going to do, instead of tinning these individually, because they're so light it doesn't really matter. We're just going to attack them both at the same time. Now again, I'm no sort of electrician or anything like that, so like I say, if people pull me up on it, well, I've been doing this for 40 odd years, so I'm still not a professional, but I have a rough idea. There we go. That is not going to come off. Now if you want to make a super duper professional job, you can go inside that crimp, open the crimp up with a pair of cutters, put your wire in and re-crimp it again. Well, it's not going to do any much good, but it's it'll look a bit nice, I suppose. And there you are. Now you've got a lead that you can put in your toolbox that is going to be so handy. Remember when we were testing these type of connectors in here? They're deep set. Now we can take our connector here and push it in and walk away, and then we can clip this to the other end of our multimeter or power source or whatever you want to do. That is so much easier because it frees off your hands to do other bits and pieces, to hold your multimeter, to hold your flashlight or whatever. And that's all you have to do. Now you can make a variety of jumper wires like that. I usually like to keep them to about 2, sometimes 3, sometimes 4. The more you have, the more chance that the wire is going to, if you're checking positive wires, this will be live, so just be careful. Sometimes what I do is I get a bit of heat shrink without heating it up and push it over the end that I'm not using just to insulate it or isolate it. Let me show you some other leads that I've made. Here's just a few examples of things you can make. I was testing a P38 air suspension unit where it needed 4 powers going into the computer. So I got some very thin pins, some very thin connectors, just the same as those crimp-ons, soldered them onto the end of a piece of wire, Siamese them all together like that, and then onto an end of a jump cable. Very handy. You can use 1, 2, really handy. So good for searching for grounds. If you're looking for a computer that needs grounds on everything, just push them in. That works well. Same idea, but the opposite way around. You've got 2 smaller pins. Now this is good for testing sockets for lighting and bits and pieces like this. Again, 2 individually coloured jumper wires, but held together with a piece of shrink wrap. What else? Oh, this is one of my favourites for testing bulb holders and things like this. Again, 2 croc clips on, bulb holder. It doesn't matter what colour they are, because you've got to know what they are yourself. So you'll work it out yourself. That's that one. There's another variation on a theme, a thin one and a male one, a female one. This is a good one too. This is one of my favourites. Test washer motor, wiper motors. They're not wiper motors. Washer pumps and heater blowers. Really handy. Again, 2 croc clips on. You can make a set of these up really cheap. It doesn't cost you any money, but man, it saves you so much time and frustration, because if you've got a nice connector you can do all sorts of things. So just look, so if you were going to test something, now you can use your homemade fuse holder, so you can put that onto the positive or whatever you want to do, and then where's our new wire gone? Here. And then, so we've got our red wire off our lead, or it could be onto the battery, fuse holder, and then we can clip that onto there, like that, and then we've got our, that shouldn't be there, our connectors here, so we're protecting all that with the fuse. They're sort of universal, but by God, they don't have to save some time. We'll get round to doing more fault finding on wiring later, but if you haven't got the gear like that, it's going to be difficult. And twisting wires together is never good, because they unpull and they become, you could be testing something under a dashboard or going around with the multimeter, and then you find out you've inadvertently pulled the damn connector off, your battery or whatever. Make them, it makes sense. So, making Land Rovers better? Absolutely, with this. So we'll talk to you later. Bye.